One of the toughest things that I've been learning to deal with as I've grown up is loss. Loss of my youth, loss of moments in time that'll never come back, loss of friendships, and probably biggest of all, the loss of life. Not a secret to anybody that Virgil Abloh was a pretty polarizing figure within fashion. Some people really enjoyed his designs and some people really didn't. For me, I sit somewhere in the middle. But what I think Virgil's even larger impact that he's had on me personally is his ascent in fashion, especially being a young black kid in society today. My first introduction with Virgil was when he kind of burst onto the scene with his Nike Off-White The 10 collaboration. It's crazy. I remember it like it was yesterday. Around this time, I was actually playing Division 3 basketball in Wisconsin in a very small town. You guys probably have heard about it. It was actually in Kenosha, Wisconsin. And at this time, I was coming into my own as a young man. I was finally starting to understand what I wanted in the world and how I wanted to dress and present myself in the world. And early on, obviously around this time, it wasn't too long ago, I guess it was only 4 years ago, but around this time, like social media and kind of sneaker YouTube and hype beast culture was thriving. And at this time, around 2016 to 2017, Boost and Adidas had the proverbial crown being the kind of number one shoes, hype beast or sneakerhead shoes on the market. But in the same breath, people were itching for something new as there was an oversaturation of Boost sneakers like Ultra Boost, NMDs, and Kanye West's Yeezy Boosts. And almost like a storybook kind of entrance, in comes the Nike Off-White The 10 collection that totally revolutionized or really elevated this idea of creating incredibly hyped up sneakers. And I feel like the 10 collection, Nike is still riding the wave of what Virgil started and Off-White started in the creation of those 10 sneakers. It was pretty insane the amount of attention these shoes got. With Virgil and Off-White and Nike, I think it's one thing to create products that add to the culture, but when you create products that totally revolutionize the minds of the youth and allow for just different ideas, different things to be possible, like the creation of Off-White and all the things that come along with Virgil's success, he not only just created products that added to the culture, but he really revolutionized the game entirely, in my opinion. And I'll never forget, I've never heard the word deconstructed more than I ever heard it in the 2017 to like 2018 era. And I can probably guarantee before all the fakes flooded the market, when the Off-White 10 Nike collaboration came out, you either had a pair or really wanted a pair. Yeah, I think that moment was one of the biggest kind of catalysts for his career. And there's so many more moments. I think that one for me stands out just because, footwear for me was like everything. Like sneakers was really everything for me back then. And, obviously Virgil went on to do so much work with so many different facets and brands and collaborations. I mean, you could argue that, Virgil as an individual, as a designer, with his brands, he's, one of the kings of collaboration. And I think for me, if we fast forward a little bit further past 2017, we leave Wisconsin, we come back home to Denver because I played Division 3 and I was in Wisconsin. Then I played Division 1 and I was in Denver then. And around the time towards the end of my basketball career, I was thinking about what am I going to do with my life, right? And as a result, like I wanted to follow the things that I enjoyed consuming and being a part of, which was fashion and sneakers and those kind of things. And I never forget, like when I had the initial idea of starting my own brand, Edward Joyner, I did, endless hours of just like consuming, like who does fashion the best, or who does fashion that I like the most. And I had to include Virgil. I included, Luigi Villaseñor and a whole bunch of other designers that I thought were really cool at the time. And I would just watch, interviews and lectures. And one of the ones that stood out to me, and it still stands out to me right now, was Virgil's Harvard lecture, which I thought was really cool for him to be able to do. And it just speaks to the level of respect that, Virgil Abloh had, not just in fashion, but just from a very like a cultural standpoint. He was a cultural icon, and that's something that always stands out to me. And I think this analogy, like, of, Virgil Abloh is like a professional athlete is to a kid aspiring to make it in the big leagues, whatever that big league is, whether it's Major League Soccer, whether it's the NBA, or whether it's football. Virgil Abloh is like a Kobe Bryant type of figure, for a young designer. And I think that's a cool analogy, and that's kind of the way I looked at him, not necessarily as someone who I would always like shove out all the cash to buy his goods, but I always just had a very kind of, you looked up to him in a way. And I think as well, it goes without saying, anytime someone who's a person of color or the other than the traditional demographic within a particular profession breaks or opens that door for themselves, they also open that door for so many different other people, which, for a lot of people is very, very inspiring. And for me is definitely very, very inspiring. What he was able to see at Louis Vuitton, what he was able to do, and just his impact as a whole. And I think that's like really, really beautiful. Virgil's impact will be felt for a very long time. The fashion world, of course, is very much so grieving, and it's sad to see someone who, you feel like he's kind of just getting started in terms of like all that's possible for him, lose their life. It's really sad. I'm curious to know what you think about Virgil Abloh. I've not really talked about him a ton on the channel. I've probably only talked about him in the capacity of how, Off-White and Nike and Louis Vuitton and brands like it create hype brands. But I've never really talked about him as an individual or just kind of what he meant to me as a person, right? And I think that was important for me to do that in the wake of his passing. I love when there's conversation down in the comment section. Like I said, comment to me what you think. And as always, I'm spreading peace, love, and positivity in 2021. So that means I'm spreading peace, love, and positivity to you, wherever you are in the world. Have a wonderful rest of your day. We'll see you next time. Abianto. Peace.
As an architecture student, I had a professor that said I didn't have the pedigree or ideas or skill set to sort of work in any sort of important context. So every no is perfect for me. I thrive off a no.
What's good, post vid? Here's a fist bump one time. Bop. Bop. There's two of them. Thank you guys for staying to this point in the video. I thought it would be important to make this video just because, I want to kind of be able to react to different things happening in the world and talk about them in the fashion world. So I don't know how long this video will be, but I kind of want to add more like commentative content to the channel just to give like my 2 cents on whatever is happening in the fashion world. Obviously, this is a great travesty, this is like very tragic what happened to Virgil Abloh and his family and his wife and his kids. It's really sad. But I'm curious to know what you guys think about him as a kind of designer, as a creative. I've never really opened that conversation up. I originally wrote down that I never owned any pieces from Virgil Abloh or any Off-White stuff, but I actually did for like 1 week. I had the Off-White Air Max 90s, the Orwood, like brown and orange colorway, and I went on one date with them with my girlfriend Lauren, and that was the only time I actually owned anything Off-White. And it was the reason why I owned is because I actually traded, because I was trying to sell the ALD, I can't remember the name of the shoes, 997s, I think like one of the early ALD collaborations. I traded them for the Orwood Off-Whites because I thought that I could trade for the Off-Whites and sell the Off-Whites and get more money for them. So that's the only time I owned him. But yeah, comment down below if you owned any Virgil pieces, whether it be Off-White or whether it be what he did at Louis Vuitton or just the IKEA stuff, obviously. But yeah, comment down below. Also, thank you guys tremendously for supporting this drop. The hoodie, the beanie, the hoodies are completely sold out, and we're going to be doing a lot of fun stuff in 2022 as well. So I'm very excited about that. And just continue to be creative, continue to try to inspire others like Virgil inspired me, and just continue to be on that path, right? Trying to chase that greatness. Hopefully you guys have a good rest of your week. It's Monday as the recording of this, so if you watch this on Monday, thank you. I appreciate you dearly. Here's a fist bump for that. Bye. And we'll see you guys in the next video. I'm really excited for the month of December because I'm about to go really crazy with creating videos. So hopefully you guys enjoy it. See you guys.